There are some love stories that begin with a first kiss. Others begin with a first glance. But Ji-hoon's story began with a suitcase. A small battered suitcase carried by a young woman who had traveled thousands of miles from Africa to South Korea, hoping to earn enough money to change her family's life. Her name was Amara. She was 24 years old, from Kenya, and had come to Seoul to work as a live-in housekeeper for one of the richest families in South Korea. She had never imagined that the house would belong to the man who would eventually become the most important person in her life. Ji-hoon Kang was 32. He was the only son of a powerful Seoul businessman who owned luxury hotels, technology companies, and several high-end restaurants across South Korea. He lived in a massive modern mansion overlooking the Han River. The house had marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, private gardens, and more rooms than Ji-hoon could remember. But despite having everything money could buy, Ji-hoon lived alone. He had stopped believing in love years ago. His father had taught him one thing from childhood. Money creates power. Power creates respect. And respect is more important than love. Ji-hoon believed him, until Amara arrived. It was a rainy Monday morning when she first stood outside the Kang family mansion. She held her passport tightly in one hand and her small suitcase in the other. The gates opened slowly. She looked up at the enormous house. For a moment she wondered if she had accidentally come to the wrong place. A woman named Mrs. Park opened the front door. "You're Amara?" "Yes, ma'am. Come inside. You must be exhausted." Amara stepped into the house. Everything looked perfect. The floor was shining. The furniture looked expensive. Even the flowers appeared professionally arranged. She suddenly felt very small. Mrs. Park showed her the room where she would stay. It was modest compared to the rest of the mansion, but to Amara it felt like luxury. She put her suitcase down and quietly whispered, "Thank you, God." That evening she met Ji-hoon. He came home late. His black car stopped outside the mansion. He walked through the front door wearing an expensive black suit. He looked tired. Amara was carrying a tray of tea when she accidentally walked into him. The cup almost fell. Ji-hoon caught it. They looked at each other. Neither spoke. Then Ji-hoon said, "Are you new?" Amara nodded. "Yes, my name is Amara." He gave a short nod. "Ji-hoon. I know." He raised an eyebrow. "You know me." She immediately realized what she had said. "I mean, Mrs. Park told me." He smiled slightly. "Right." Then he walked away. Amara watched him disappear down the hallway. She didn't know why her heart was beating faster. Ji-hoon didn't know why he had turned around twice to look at her. For the next few weeks they barely spoke. Amara worked hard. She woke up early. She prepared breakfast. She cleaned the house. She organized the kitchen. She learned Korean words every day because she wanted to communicate better. She never complained, even when she was exhausted. Ji-hoon noticed. One morning he came downstairs and saw Amara struggling with a heavy box. He walked over. "Let me help." She looked surprised. "No, sir, I can do it." "I can see that." He took the box from her. She smiled. "Thank you." He carried it into the kitchen. That was the first time they laughed together. After that, things slowly changed. Ji-hoon started eating breakfast at home. He began asking Amara questions. "How long have you been in Korea?" 3 months. "Do you like Seoul?" "Yes." "What do you miss?" She thought for a moment. "My family." "Do you have brothers and sisters?" "One younger brother and a little sister." "Do they live in Kenya?" "Yes." She smiled. "I'm working here because I want my brother to finish school." Ji-hoon looked at her. "You're supporting your family?" She nodded. "My mother works, but it's not enough." He didn't say anything, but something changed inside him. He had grown up surrounded by wealth. Amara had grown up learning how to survive, and yet she smiled more than anyone he knew. One evening, Ji-hoon returned home and found Amara sitting in the garden. She was looking at the moon. He sat on the bench nearby. "What are you doing?" "Thinking. About home." Ji-hoon looked at her. "Do you miss it?" "Every day." "Then why did you come here?" She smiled sadly. "Because sometimes you leave the place you love to give the people you love a better life." Ji-hoon didn't know what to say. For the first time he understood that Amara's strength had nothing to do with money. It came from love. And slowly, Ji-hoon fell in love with her. He didn't tell anyone, not even Amara. He simply found excuses to be around her. He came home earlier. He asked her opinion about food. He brought her books. He taught her Korean. She taught him Swahili. One night she taught him how to say, "I love you." Ji-hoon repeated it. Amara laughed. "No, your pronunciation is terrible." He smiled. "Then teach me again." She moved closer. Say it slowly. I love you. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither moved. Then Amara stepped back. Sir. Ji-hoon looked away. I know. Neither of them mentioned the moment again, but both of them thought about it all night. Then came the problem. Ji-hoon's father discovered what was happening. He called Ji-hoon into his office. I heard you're spending too much time with the housekeeper. Ji-hoon said nothing. His father continued. You will end this. Ji-hoon looked at him. Why? Because she isn't suitable for you. She is a good person. That isn't the point. What is the point? His father stood up. The point is your future. Ji-hoon laughed bitterly. My future? You are expected to marry someone from an appropriate family. Ji-hoon's face became cold. I don't care about their family. His father slammed his hand against the desk. You will care. Ji-hoon walked away. But his father wasn't finished. He had already made plans. Ji-hoon was supposed to marry the daughter of another wealthy businessman. Her name was Soo-jin. Their families had been discussing the marriage for months. And now, Ji-hoon's father wanted to make it happen immediately. A few days later, Amara accidentally overheard the conversation. She stood outside the office. She heard Ji-hoon's father say, You are going to marry Soo-jin. Amara froze. Then she quietly walked away. That night she packed her suitcase. She had decided to leave. She loved Ji-hoon, but she knew she could never become part of his world. Before sunrise, she left the mansion. She left behind a small letter. Mr. Kang, thank you for being kind to me. I will always be grateful. Please don't look for me. You deserve someone who belongs in your world. I hope you find happiness, Amara. Ji-hoon found the letter at breakfast. He read it once, then again. His hands started shaking. Where is she? Mrs. Park looked at him. She left early this morning. Ji-hoon ran outside, but Amara was already gone. He called her phone. It was switched off. He searched the places she had told him about. Nothing. For 3 days, he barely slept. Then he discovered something. Amara had been working at a small community center in Seoul at night, helping other African immigrants with translation and paperwork. Ji-hoon went there and finally found her. She was helping a little girl with her homework. Amara looked up. Her eyes widened. Ji-hoon? He walked toward her. Why did you leave? She looked away. Because I knew I had to. Who told you? She didn't answer. My father? Silence. Ji-hoon stepped closer. You should have asked me. What was I supposed to ask? Whether I loved you. She looked at him. You don't. I do. Her eyes filled with tears. You don't know what you're saying. I've never been more certain about anything. She shook her head. You have a different life. I don't want that life. You're rich. I know. I'm not. I know. My family is struggling. I know. I don't belong in your world. Ji-hoon smiled. Then I'll leave my world. She stared at him. What? I don't want my father's money if the price is losing you. Amara started crying. You can't do that. Watch me. But Ji-hoon's father had one more secret. The next day, he called Amara to the mansion. She was nervous. He sat across from her. I owe you an apology. She looked surprised. He continued. My son has never fought me on anything. Until you. Amara didn't know what to say. He placed a file on the table. Inside were documents, a job contract, a scholarship, a small apartment, financial support for Amara's family. She looked at him. What is this? Your future. She shook her head. I don't want your money. He smiled. It's not charity. He explained that he had investigated Amara's background. He discovered that she had been studying business administration before leaving Kenya. He also learned that she had been saving money to open a small education center for children in her hometown. Ji-hoon's father had made a decision. He offered to fund the project. Not because she was dating his son, but because he believed she had earned the opportunity. Amara started crying. I don't understand. He looked at her. My son thinks you changed his life. He paused. But the truth is, you changed mine too. Months later, Amara returned to Kenya. But this time, she wasn't going alone. Ji-hoon went with her. He met her family. He ate dinner with her mother. He played soccer with her younger brother. He was terrible at it. Everyone laughed. And for the first time, Ji-hoon understood what real wealth looked like. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't a luxury car. It wasn't a bank account. It was sitting around a small table with people who would give you their last piece of bread. A year later, Amara opened an education center in her hometown. The building was simple, but the walls were filled with children's drawings. Ji-hoon stood beside her on opening day. He looked at her and smiled. You did it. She smiled back. We did it. He took her hand. No. He looked into her eyes. You did it. Amara shook her head. You came all the way here. For you I'd go anywhere. She smiled. Then Ji-hoon pulled a small ring from his pocket. Amara froze. Amara, he got down on one knee. I don't have a perfect life to promise you. She started crying. But I promise you something better. He took her hand. Whatever country we're in, whatever happens, whatever people say, I will choose you. He looked into her eyes. Will you marry me? Amara covered her mouth. Then she laughed through her tears. Yes. Ji-hoon stood up. She hugged him. Behind them, her family applauded. And somewhere in that small African town, a little boy who had once dreamed of going to school walked into a classroom that existed because one young woman had refused to give up. Years later, people would ask Ji-hoon why he had walked away from a fortune for a woman who had once worked in his house. He always gave the same answer. When I had money, I thought I had everything. He would smile. Then I met Amara. She had almost nothing. But somehow, she had everything I was missing. Their love story didn't begin with wealth. It didn't begin with power. It didn't begin with perfect circumstances. It began with a young African woman arriving in Seoul with one small suitcase and a Korean man who had everything except a reason to be happy. She came to his house to work, but somehow, she became the person who taught him what home really meant, and in the end, Ji-hoon didn't lose his world for Amara. He found a better one.